I don't want to quit playing Cobblemon, but unfortunately, I had a recent experience that's really making me consider stepping away. Have you ever enjoyed a game so much you play it every opportunity you're able to? For me, that's Cobblemon. It's like the open world Pokemon game fans like me have always dreamed they would actually make. No official Pokemon game has ever let you catch every Pokemon in existence, but on the server I play Cobblemon on, that's actually possible. You could be traversing a desert and then go over like a sand dune and see a massive legendary Groudon in the distance. That's possible in Cobblemon because it's also in Minecraft. But even Paradise has its problems. I have to remind myself sometimes that games are actually supposed to be fun, but developers know how to get in our heads. They dangle limited time rewards to make us play mediocre or sometimes even frustrating content. And even though I know I shouldn't fall for it, I fall for it every time because I never want to be the person who misses out. That's how they got me this time. Even on April Fool's Day, I fell for it because they were dangling something I wanted in front of me. The announcement was perfectly placed bait.
Attention! There will be a Cosmog raid in 30 minutes.
Cosmog is an amazing Pokemon, but don't get confused. I would be excited for a rock with a smiley face on it if it was made limited time. I'm not about to be the person who misses out. And I'm not the only one who felt that way. I told my friends about the raid that was about to happen so they wouldn't miss out, and it only took less than 5 minutes for both of them to get online. I could even feel a sense of excitement among our group. None of us actually knew what to expect from a raid because we hadn't actually participated in one before, but that didn't stop all of us from just assuming that we would win. I led the raid with my Tyranitar. It was my strongest Pokemon, and it had a clear type matchup advantage against Cosmog. I actually moved first and landed a super effective crunch attack. It barely made a scratch. Cosmog's health bar dropped from 100% to a staggering 99%. I was stunned. For a moment, I genuinely thought the April Fool's joke was that this raid had just been made impossible to complete. But in reality, I had just failed. One by one, the notifications began to appear. Players were winning the raid. I asked my friends how their luck was going, but they were just like me, dazed and confused. This chance to catch Cosmog was over. But I wasn't the only one left disappointed. There were over 400 people online, and most of them had also been left disappointed. Some were even furious. All of a sudden, the in game chat couldn't hold a conversation as people were just demanding a second chance and calling the raid unfair. The admins tried to calm everyone down by logically explaining that they didn't want everyone to actually get a Cosmog, otherwise, that would ruin the trading economy. There is logic to that, but saying that when a lot of people were just really disappointed and angry didn't solve any problem. If anything, it just made things worse. So, faced with the problem, the admins had one of two choices to make. You could either give in and host more raids or just give everyone a Cosmog or do something, or you can start silencing people and making making the problem going away that way. But silencing some people will just make the other people even louder. So I wasn't surprised when the admins actually did give in. But I was surprised in the way they did it. A new message appeared in chat.
Attention! There will be another Cosmog raid in 3 hours, followed by another one every 3 hours for the next 24 hours. However, only the top 15 people in damage each raid will have the opportunity to catch Cosmog.
But it didn't matter how many chances we were going to have if we couldn't even beat it once. We expected raid bosses to be tough, but this was insane. We couldn't just take Pokemon and go back in and attack. We were going to need a strategy. Maybe even something a little gimmicky. Unfortunately, I didn't have the time to actually try to test any theories because I needed to go to bed. I had work the next morning. And unfortunately, most of the raids were going to take place while I'd be stuck at work. There were only 2 raids that I could even possibly attend out of the whole schedule. Thankfully, one of my friends was in between jobs, and he volunteered to do the testing and the strategizing for me whenever I was asleep and whenever I was at my job. And this guy I considered to be pretty smart, so I trusted him to crack the code, and thankful he was willing to do so. When I woke up the next morning, I already saw a text message from him. I thought he'd crack the code, but I didn't expect him to do it so fast. He sent me a message that said, Hosorian Zoroark using Curse as the strategy. He said everyone knew about it now, but he was able to catch 3 Cosmogs. 3 Cosmogs? Not only did he figure out the strategy, he caught extra? If I failed, at least now I knew somebody who had a spare one. I mean, of course, that wasn't my plan. I wanted to catch my own. But I messaged him back and asked if he could build me a Hisuian Zoroark, so when I got online, I wouldn't have to risk being too late for the raid. As I waited for my shift to end, I started wondering how this strategy worked. So far, I just took it at face value what he said was true. Curse is a move that normally raises your defenses. Raising your defenses wouldn't help here. But that's when I remembered. Their curse has a special effect with ghost type Pokemon. When used by a ghost type Pokemon like Hisui and Zoroark, you actually are able to curse your opponent and do a quarter of their health every turn. And that's when it struck me. It didn't matter how strong Cosmog was. If you get a curse off in 4 turns, it would be fainted. The plan was genius. When I got home, I added the Zoroark he gave me to my team, and I was ready this time. I was even a little excited again. I led the battle with my Zoroark and pressed Curse. Cosmog went first, but I wasn't worried about him killing me because I gave my Zoroark a Focus Sash, allowing him to survive any hit on 1 HP no matter what. But to my surprise, Cosmog did not use a damaging move. It used the move Soak. Instantly, my face turned white like my soul had just left my body. Soak collapsed the whole strategy. Curse only actually does a quarter damage per turn if it's used by a ghost type. Soak changes the Pokemon's typing to a water type. As a water type now, Zoroark just raises defenses. I had no backup plan. This was the worst case scenario. Now I just had to watch as other people were successful, and I failed again. Now with only 1 chance left, I didn't want to leave it to luck on whether Cosmog would use Soak next time or not. It was time for me to do my own innovating. My friend's not the only person who can strategize. The first thing I looked at to see if I could improve this strategy was the Pokemon itself. So far to my knowledge, all I needed was a ghost type to use Curse. It didn't have to be Hisui and Zoroark. But before I started thinking of replacement Pokemon, it actually hit me. We hadn't been taking advantage of Hisui and Zoroark's unique ability. Every Pokemon has an ability that gives it some kind of buff, and Hisui and Zoroark has a very unique one called Illusion. It lets it appear as another Pokemon on your team. It disguises itself. That was exactly the solution we needed. If I could make Hisui and Zoroark appear as a water type, then Cosmog would have no reason to use Soak. Why would you turn a water type into a water type? Now, Cosmog was an AI and not a person, but surely even it thought that way. So I pulled a Gyarados from my collection and added it to my team. When the next raid started, my Hisui and Zoroark would appear to be Gyarados. And I was ready this time. I know this was the last attempt, but I thought for sure this strategy was going to work. I didn't even tell my friends because I wanted to make sure that I was going to be top 15 and, not having them as competition. That might have been a little selfish, but I really thought I was going to be able to do it this time. The final raid started and I led off with my Hisui and Zoroark. Cosmog moved first again, and this is the moment I knew everything would either go my way or end catastrophically. I could feel beads of sweat building up on my forehead as I waited for Cosmog's move to happen. And it used Cosmic Power. It raised its own defenses. Honestly, it could have used any move almost. As long as I got it not to use Soak, I was going to be able to land a curse. And that's exactly what happened next. Hisui and Zoroark landed a curse, and Cosmog's health went down by 25%. All I had to do now was wait 3 more turns, and I was going to be able to catch one. I could barely contain my excitement. I could taste victory as every turn went by and another 25% health was removed from Cosmog. I was getting ready to jump out of my chair. But then my screen changed and I found myself back at my base. I was confused. The battle hadn't ended. What happened? I was about to put in a support ticket cuz like that didn't make any sense until I looked in the chat and I saw the list of 15 people who managed to beat Cosmog before I could. In the end, everyone had started finding out the strategy, and it was just coming down to whoever got lucky enough for the damage to happen first. And it wasn't me. I was frustrated, but most importantly, just disappointed. I closed my game right then and there. Once I calmed down after a few moments, I decided I would still play Cobblemon. The moments with my friends and everything outside of this event was still fun, but this event just ruined the trust I had with the server. And I promised myself I would never waste my time with another one of their events ever again. And my friends felt the same way. My friend who caught 3 Cosmogs was still upset that he didn't even get an opportunity to catch another one. And my other friend who was in a similar situation to me who had to work for it, he also didn't get anything. We all needed a break after that. And now I can say it's been about 3 weeks and we haven't gone back to playing. I told myself I wasn't gonna quit just over this, but I don't know if I'm going back. My hype for Cobblemon is certainly crushed. Maybe the magic isn't gone forever. Maybe there's a time when I'll go back. But for now, I'm done with Cobblemon. Hi, if you enjoyed that story, please consider giving a like to the video and subscribing to my channel. The support really helps me make more, which I plan to do, and I hope to see you around at the next one.